The absolute evil was reunited, and once again it hurried to New King's Ending, there to destroy Meltysand and her miserable little altar of rebirth. The final battle was at hand. Well, the time had finally come. Finally. God, how many times have I already said that? Doesn't matter. This time it really is the end. The absolute evil stood before New King's Ending. The Alliance had built a new capital with the same old name. Here, Meltysand had built the new altar of rebirth in the name of her Firegod. As long as this danger still existed, wave after wave of heroes would launch themselves against evil. The altar had to be destroyed. Then, too, there was, of course, Meltysand herself. The High Priestess of the Firegod had turned out to be a worthy opponent and a threat to the absolute evil. If she were to die, the Alliance's fate would be sealed. But as long as the altar stood, she too would always be revived.
You think you've won? You have no idea. The altar is protected by the Firegod's sacred stones. Their barrier is impenetrable to your abominations. Forward, Alliance! Destroy them! Have no fear. The altar will save you.
Good point. Before the pondering evil could carve its way to the altar, it would first have to destroy the barrier. For this, it had to grab the Firegod by its... it had to destroy the Firegod's 2 sacred stones. Got it? Let me repeat that for you. First, destroy the crystals. Second, destroy the altar. Third, destroy Meltysand. The absolute evil approached New King's Ending. It was happy to be whole again. This division, had been nothing but one giant headache. All the while it was throwing itself into battle here, its creatures were diligently producing mana that trickled steadily into it over time. Moreover, it also had access to the faction's spells, the best of them. We don't need to waste time on piddling little generic spells. Absolute evil effortlessly destroyed some idiots from the Alliance. The gate to New King's Ending was secured by a consecrated object. Honestly, it made the absolute evil giggle. Oh, it would have giggled if it had ever made a sound. Anyway, of course, that was no obstacle. After all, it had merged with Barthas and could also use his fantastic skills. The place was desecrated, the gate to the city open. With determined tread, the absolute evil marched forward.
New King's Ending will never fall.
These few Alliance troops had no chance against the absolute evil. The cemetery profaning evil has just desecrated one of the aforementioned, thus dragging some undead from their graves.
You cannot win.
Absolute evil effortlessly destroyed some idiots from the Alliance. The absolute evil reached one of the inner gates of New King's Ending. The Alliance had barricaded it well. It would be difficult to break through there. But then, out of nowhere, or more precisely out of the fog of war, a death bolt appeared. The absolute evil made a mental note to rename the creature some. The death bolt shot at a small stash of dynamite, which by happy coincidence was stored here and blew a passage through the rock. Through it poured a flood of horde creatures who willingly cut their lord a path. Lo and behold, the gate was open.
My god will destroy you! Good will triumph.
The massacring evil stomped another group of defenders into the dirt. The absolute evil had now conquered another large area of New King's Ending. It decided to let the horde secure the area. One may consider it unwise, but the Barthas in the absolute evil wanted to confront Meltysand alone. Stupid idea. The all-destroying evil reached a large square, the last bastion before Meltysand's retreat. The Alliance had positioned their last great army here. Demons were supposed to attack it, but the portals were kept closed by Alliance mages. With the demons' help, the place would be overrun in a flash. The cunning evil knew what to do.
New King's Ending will never fall. May have made it this far, but that won't help you. The Firegod's sacred stones protect this place. The altar is safe.
That woman had no idea. It somehow never occurred to Meltysand that the sacred stones unfortunately lay virtually unprotected and could therefore be destroyed. So, absolute evil marched in.
Wait, what are you doing? No, you can't attack the stones! Soldiers, keep it back!
The absolute evil reached the first of the two sacred stones that made up the altar's protective barrier. It would require a couple of stout blows and a modicum of brute force.
Stop it! The stone must not be destroyed! You may have destroyed one of the stones, but the second is well guarded, and its power alone is sufficient to maintain the barrier. The good shall triumph.
Let me just say, that was just the first blow, and the second is right behind it.
Heroes of the Alliance, defend the sacred stone. It must not fall. The altar must be protected.
Meltysand actually believed that she and her miserable defenders could stop the unstoppable evil. How cute. Unimpressed, the absolute evil began to destroy the second sacred stone. The second sacred stone fell victim to the absolute evil's blows. The path to the altar was free. It was time for the Alliance leftovers to wet their pants and pray to all the gods they'd ever heard of.
Remain steadfast, men. The altar is still in our possession and active. We can still win. For the Firegod!
The area was secured, the altar almost within grasp. The absolute evil directed its demonic subjects to guard the place, and proceeded on alone. If you want something done right, do it yourself, thought the absolute evil.
What does not kill me makes me stronger. Through the fire, I have been reborn. I shall return from the fire.
The first cracks appeared in the altar. Excellent! That's the stuff!
Protect the altar! It must not be destroyed.
The altar was almost destroyed, but only almost. Come on, finish the stupid thing off! It was done. The altar of rebirth was in ruins, and Meltysand lay next to it on the floor, dead. The absolute evil had triumphed. Excellent work, my friend. I've read that the developers have really raised the level of difficulty. You can be proud of yourself. I'm not going to say any more here because that all comes in the outro sequence, but it was a lot of fun. See you in part 3. Oh, wait. I wasn't supposed to say that. I mean, maybe we'll hear from one another again someday. Meltysand was defeated. The Red Priestess hit the ground with a long, drawn-out and breathed her last. Since the ultimate evil had already laid waste to the altar of rebirth, it could be certain that this time her demise was now permanent. Moreover, never again would a hero of the Alliance rise from the dead. They would henceforth simply lie there and rot once they had been struck down. It was a glorious victory, through and through. Not only was the absolute evil restored and had united the evil nations, it had also handed the do-gooders an annihilating defeat. Horde, demons, and undead cheered their champion. An era of terror began for the kingdoms of the Alliance, an eternal reign of evil. But would evil's rule truly last forever? After all, every evil tends to attract heroes with more luck than skill, who then defeat it. Should the reign of evil already be counting its days, then? You know how it is. All good things come in threes.